Passage 10, a football match. Question 1. What was the first sound heard at the Anthony Spaulding Sports Complex?
This question tests your understanding of sequencing. Since it is asking for the first sound heard, we must scan the beginning of the passage to find the answer. Ah, yes, there it is in lines 1 and 2. Sweet! The whistle had been blown by the referee, John Holt, indicating the start of play for this thrilling football match. We see that the whistle was the first sound. It indicated the start of the game. We also see that no other sound was heard before the start of the game.
Therefore, your answer could read, the first sound heard at the Anthony Spaulding Sports Complex was the tweet of the whistle that indicated the start of the game. Question 2. List 3 things that happened after Humble Lion scored the goal. List them in the order in which they happened.
This is also a sequencing question, but the answers are straight from the passage. When you are putting things in order, or sequencing, use words like first, next, then, before, after, and finally to help you decide when things happen. The question asks for things that happened after they scored the goal. So, first we must find the part in the passage where Humble Lion scored the goal. The game was goalless for a long time until one of the players from the Humble Lion team dived and headed the ball into the goal. What a spectacular goal it was! Then, read the paragraph and the parts below it carefully, noting any things that happened. Example, did the people do anything unusual? Did the players do anything? What were the actions of the supporters? Good job! Paragraph 4 has all the details about the goal scored by Humble Lion. Reading carefully, we see that several things happened after they scored the goal. The entire stadium went into an uproar, dancing and prancing. A literal party session began. I even saw 2 or 3 persons crying. I said to Jamar, I hope that they are overjoyed and not sad. Some supporters even lit a firecracker which generated clouds of smoke. It was so thick that you couldn't see the other side of the stadium. Jamar and I shouted and waved our green handkerchiefs.
So, your answer could read, after Humble Lion scored their goal, several things happened. First, the entire stadium went into uproar with people dancing and prancing about. Then, some people started crying. After that, some supporters lit a firecracker that left clouds of smoke in the stadium. Question 3. Read the story again, then number the following sentences 1 to 6 to show the order in which things happened. This is all part of sequencing. Understanding what happened first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This question requires you to place things in sequence or in the order in which it happened. Let's check the comprehension passage to see the sequence of the activities that took place in the stadium. Paragraph 1 states that John Holt blew the whistle to start the football match. Paragraph 2 tells us that supporters were waving flags, banners, or posters. Paragraph 4 informs us that the game was goalless for a long time. Paragraph 4 also describes the spectators' reaction after the first goal was scored. Paragraph 4 also reveals that the author and his friend Jamar saw some people crying because of the goal that was scored. Paragraph 5 tells us that when the author and Jamar left the stadium at the end of the game, they saw a sign that said, "Thank you, please come again." There, we have found the answers. Therefore, you can write your answer like this. Number 1. John Holt blew the whistle to indicate the start of the game. Number 2. Supporters were waving flags, banners or posters. Number 3. The game was goalless for a long time. Number 4. The stadium went into an uproar. Number 5. Persons were crying because of the goal that was scored. Number 6. Thank you, please come again. Question 4. What emotions did the supporters feel and when were these emotions displayed?
This question also tests your ability to determine the sequence of events, but it needs you to evaluate the story to find the answer. Go through the passage and look for any mention of the supporters. Look for things that they did. Then ask yourself, what does this show? Why did the supporters do this? What did they feel? Good. I see some in each paragraph. In paragraph 1, lines 4 to 5, it says, "This was the first time Jamar and I had been to a football match. We were very excited." This shows that the boys were excited. Paragraph 2, lines 3 to 6. Most of the ardent supporters did not care about sitting down. They were jumping up and down, waving small flags, banners, posters, or anything else they had. The supporters were anxious. Paragraph 2, lines 3 to 6. Most of the ardent supporters did not care about sitting down. They were jumping up and down, waving small flags, banners, posters, or anything else they had. The supporters were anxious. People usually jump up and down at a game when they are anxious for a goal to be scored. Paragraph 3, lines 1 to 2. The shouting and yelling could be heard throughout the game. There was some significance between the shouting and the game that was going on. This shows excitement and expectancy as the onlookers cheered in support. Yelling and shouting at a match is usually done when people are excited. And paragraph 4 states, the entire stadium went into uproar. Dancing and prancing, a literal party session began. Some supporters even lit firecrackers. This shows the supporters were overjoyed and celebrating their victory when Humble Lions scored the goal. So, we have identified some actions of the supporters that give insight into their emotions.
Therefore, your answer could read, the supporters displayed a number of emotions during the game. Before the game started and in the beginning of the game, one can see that they were anxious and excited. Toward the end of the game, when Humble Lions scored the goal, the supporters were overjoyed and celebrated the victory. Evaluative understanding. Question 5. How does this passage teach the following lessons? A. Friendship. B. Team spirit.
Friendship. Ask yourself, what makes people friends? Are the two boys in the passage friends? How do you know? You know people are friends when they do things together. Scan the passage to find out if this happened. Yes, the two boys went to a football match together. They watched the game together. Friends can enjoy similar things and may think in the same way. Friends support one another just as the boys did. Team spirit. Ask yourself, What is team spirit? Is it seen by supporting the team or yourself? Team spirit is that feeling of unity that causes you to support the group or cooperate and work well together with them. In the passage, where was this seen? Did the supporters demonstrate team spirit? Scan the passage to find out. There it is. We see in paragraph 2 that the supporters wore the colors of their teams, waving flags and banners and shouting in support.
Therefore, your answer could read, yes, the two boys went to a football match together. They watched the game together. Friends can enjoy similar things and may think in the same way. Friends support one another just as the boys did. Question 6. Think about the title of the passage. Could you give it a better name?
To figure out whether the title, A Football Match, was suitable, ask yourself, what is the main idea in this passage? Is it really about a football match? Did it tell a story about the football match? Remember that the main idea is often stated in the first and the last lines of the story. In this passage, the main idea was stated in the first paragraph. This was the first time Jamar and I had been to a football match. We were very excited. And repeated in the last paragraph, we were satisfied with our first time experience at a football match. So we know that the main idea was to describe the experience that the boys had at their first football match. Now ask yourself, what could be some possible titles for this passage that would reflect the main idea? Remember that the title of a passage often states the main idea of the passage. Therefore, the title you choose must reflect the main idea. Here are some possible answers. We will go through each one to see why it would or would not be suitable.
1. The Humble Lion Victory. 2. My First Football Match. 3. Teamwork makes the dream work.
The Humble Lion Victory. The Humble Lion team did win the match, so this title could be suitable. However, the focus throughout the passage was not on their victory, but on the overall match day experience of the two boys. My first football match. We know that the main idea of the passage was to describe the experience that the boys had at their first football match. Therefore, the title My First Football Match is better as it reflects the main idea even closer than the existing title, A Football Match. Teamwork makes the dream work. Ask yourself, what was the main idea? Does this title reflect the main idea? We know that the main idea of the passage was to describe the experience that the boys had at their first football match. The passage did not really emphasize the teamwork involved. Therefore, this title is not suitable. It does not reflect the main idea.
Remember, when choosing a title, the title of the passage or story must reflect the main idea of the passage or story. The main idea is often stated in the first paragraph and may be repeated in the last. The main idea is the focus or emphasis of the story, why it was told. Question 7. Summarize the story. Make sure you cover the main ideas of each paragraph.
When summarizing a passage, identify the main idea for each paragraph. The main idea is often stated in the first line or may be repeated in the last. The main idea is the focus or emphasis of the story or paragraph, why it was told. Keep these main ideas in the same order as they appear in the story and group them in the same format.